Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Native English Podcast. I'm Michael Reed, coming to you from New York City. It is wonderful to have you here today. Whether you're listening during your morning commute or relaxing at home, I'm excited to share this lesson with you. Learning English should feel natural and enjoyable, and that is exactly what we're here for. Today's episode is all about eating breakfast. We're going to explore the language you need when talking about your morning meal. Breakfast is such an important part of our day, isn't it? It is something we do every single morning, so knowing how to describe it in English is really practical and useful. In this lesson, you'll learn some wonderful expressions for talking about breakfast routines. We'll cover useful vocabulary for kitchen activities, common breakfast foods, and natural phrases native speakers use every day. These expressions will help you sound more confident and natural when you're chatting with English speakers about your morning habits. You'll also learn some two-word verbs that are super common in everyday conversation. Here is how today's episode works. First, you'll hear a short story from Lucy. She'll tell us about her typical breakfast routine here in New York. I'll read it slowly and clearly so you can catch every word then. We'll break down the most important phrases and expressions together. I'll explain what they mean and how to use them in real conversations. Finally, you'll hear Lucy's story again at a normal, natural speed so you can hear how it sounds in everyday English. Now, here is my challenge for you today. After listening to this episode, try writing a few sentences about your own breakfast routine. What do you usually eat? What do you drink? How do you prepare your food? Use some of the expressions you learned today. Don't worry about making mistakes. The important thing is to practice and build your confidence. Even writing just 3 or 4 sentences will help these new phrases stick in your memory. You might also try recording yourself speaking about your breakfast routine. It is a great way to practice your pronunciation and fluency. All right, are you ready? Let's dive into Lucy's story about her morning breakfast routine. Listen carefully and pay attention to the natural expressions she uses.
My alarm goes off at 6:30 every morning. I get out of bed and walk into my kitchen to start my day. The first thing I do is turn on my coffee maker. I'm definitely not a morning person, so I really need that coffee to wake up properly. While the coffee is brewing, I open the cupboard and take out a box of cereal. I love cereal for breakfast because it is quick and easy. I don't have time to make a big breakfast on weekdays. Sometimes I wish I could make pancakes or scrambled eggs, but honestly, I'm usually running late. So cereal it is. I pour the cereal into a bowl and add some milk. I always use low-fat milk because it is healthier. Then I grab a spoon from the drawer and sit down at my small kitchen table. I like to look out the window while I eat. From my apartment, I can see people walking their dogs and heading to work. It is nice to watch the city wake up. After I finish my cereal, I usually grab a piece of fruit. Today it is an apple. Sometimes I make a slice of toast with peanut butter if I'm extra hungry. I quickly rinse my bowl and spoon in the sink and put them in the dishwasher. I don't have time to wash dishes properly in the morning. By now, my coffee is ready. I pour myself a big cup and add just a little bit of sugar. I never drink coffee black. It is too strong for me. I take a few sips while standing in the kitchen, checking my phone for messages. Then I pour the rest of my coffee into a travel mug so I can take it with me on the subway. Before I leave, I grab my bag and make sure I have everything I need for work. My breakfast routine might be simple, but it helps me start my day on the right foot. A good breakfast gives me energy and puts me in a positive mood. Now I'm ready to face whatever the day brings.
Now let's break down some of the most useful expressions from Lucy's story. These are phrases you'll hear native English speakers use all the time, especially when talking about daily routines and breakfast. The first expression Lucy used was gets out of bed. This is the natural way to describe leaving your bed in the morning. We don't usually say, I leave my bed or I exit my bed. Instead, we say, get out of bed or sometimes get up. Both are perfectly natural. For example, it is hard to get out of bed on cold winter mornings, or I got out of bed and immediately stepped on my cat's toy. The expression get out of is useful in many situations, like get out of the car or get out of the building. Then Lucy mentions that she walks into the kitchen. Notice we use the preposition into here, not just to or in. We say walk into a room when we're entering that space. This is a very common pattern in English. You can say, I walked into the office. She walked into the store, or he walked into the meeting late. The word into shows movement from outside to inside a space. Lucy also says she needs to turn on the coffee maker. Turn on is a two-word verb, which we call a phrasal verb. It means to activate something or make it start working. We use this all the time with appliances and electronics. For example, can you turn on the TV? Or I forgot to turn on the dishwasher last night. The opposite is turn off, which means to stop something from working. Don't forget to turn off the lights when you leave. These phrasal verbs are super important in English because we use them constantly in everyday conversation. Lucy mentions that her coffee is brewing. When coffee is brewing, it means the hot water is going through the coffee grounds to make the coffee. We use the verb brew specifically for making coffee or tea. You can say, I'm brewing a fresh pot of coffee, or let the tea brew for 5 minutes. It is a nice specific word that native speakers use naturally. You can also use it as a noun, like, would you like some of my special brew? In the story, Lucy says she takes out a box of cereal. Take out means to remove something from a place where it is stored. It is another common phrasal verb. For example, I took out the milk from the refrigerator, or she took out her notebook to write some notes. You can also use take out when talking about getting food from a restaurant to eat at home. Let's take out Chinese food tonight. The meaning is similar, so do you. You're removing food from the restaurant to bring it home. Lucy explains that she doesn't have time to make a big breakfast and says, so cereal it is. This is a really natural English expression that shows acceptance of a situation. It means that is what I'll have, or that is the reality. You might hear people say, I can't afford a new car, so my old car it is. Or, we couldn't get tickets to the concert, so a movie it is. It is a casual conversational way to express that you're accepting a particular option or situation. Native speakers use this pattern all the time. Next, Lucy says she pours cereal into a bowl. The verb pour is usually used with liquids, like pour water or pour juice, but we also use it with cereal because the cereal flows from the box into the bowl in a similar way to how liquid flows. You can say, I poured myself a bowl of cereal, or pour the rice into the pot. It is about moving something from one container into another. Usually in a flowing motion, Lucy mentions she uses low-fat milk. In American English, we often talk about different types of milk based on fat content. You have whole milk, which has all the natural fat. Then there is 2% milk, 1% milk, and fat-free milk, which is also called skim milk. Fat is a general term, meaning it has less fat than whole milk. You might hear, I'm trying to eat healthier, so I switched to low-fat milk, or this yogurt is low-fat, but still tastes creamy. The expression low-fat can describe many dairy products, not just milk. Lucy says she grabs a spoon. The verb grab means to take something quickly, often with your hand. It is more casual and faster than take. For example, grab your coat, we're leaving, or I grabbed a snack before the meeting. It suggests a quick, informal action. Native speakers use grabs very frequently in conversation because it sounds natural and relaxed. You can grab a coffee, grab lunch with someone, or grab your keys before heading out. In the story, Lucy mentions she rinses her bowl in the sink. Rinse means to wash something quickly with water, usually without soap. It is a light cleaning, not a deep scrub. For example, rinse the vegetables before cooking them, or I always rinse my mouth after brushing my teeth. In the context of dishes, rinsing means you're just running water over them to remove food before putting them in the dishwasher or washing them properly later. Lucy says she puts her dishes in the dishwasher. A dishwasher is a machine that automatically washes your dishes. It is very common in American homes. You load dirty dishes inside, add detergent, and turn it on. The machine then washes, rinses, and dries everything for you. If someone asks, "Do you have a dishwasher?" they're asking if you have this machine. Some people joke, "Yes, I'm the dishwasher," meaning they wash dishes by hand themselves. Lucy mentions by now when talking about her coffee being ready. By now means at this point in time or by this moment. It shows that enough time has passed for something to happen. For example, by now everyone should know about the meeting, or by now the store is probably closed. It is a time expression that connects the current moment to earlier events. You'll hear it often in stories and conversations when people are describing a sequence of events. When Lucy pours coffee, she says she adds sugar. The verb add is simple but important. It means to put something extra into something else. Add salt to the soup, add your name to the list. Or add 2 and 2 to get 4. In cooking and food preparation, we use add constantly. Add milk to the batter, add ice to your drink. It is one of those basic verbs that you'll use many times every day. Lucy mentions she never drinks coffee black. When coffee is black, it means plain coffee with nothing added tundi, no milk, no cream, no sugar. It is the coffee by itself. For example, I take my coffee black means I don't add anything to it. Or do you want your coffee black or with cream? This is a very common expression in coffee culture. You can also hear people say, I drink it black about tea, though it is less common with tea. Lucy says her routine helps her start the day on the right foot. This is a wonderful idiomatic expression. When you start something on the right foot, it means you begin it well, in a positive way. It suggests a good beginning that will lead to success. For example, let's start this project on the right foot by planning carefully, or I want to start my new job on the right foot. So I'm arriving early. The opposite would be start on the wrong foot, which means to begin badly. This expression is used in both professional and personal contexts.
My alarm goes off at 6:30 every morning. I get out of bed and walk into my kitchen to start my day. The first thing I do is turn on my coffee maker. I'm definitely not a morning person, so I really need that coffee to wake up properly. While the coffee is brewing, I open the cupboard and take out a box of cereal. I love cereal for breakfast because it is quick and easy. I don't have time to make a big breakfast on weekdays. Sometimes I wish I could make pancakes or scrambled eggs, but honestly, I'm usually running late. So cereal it is. I pour the cereal into a bowl and add some milk. I always use low-fat milk because it is healthier. Then I grab a spoon from the drawer and sit down at my small kitchen table. I like to look out the window while I eat. From my apartment, I can see people walking their dogs and heading to work. It is nice to watch the city wake up. After I finish my cereal, I usually grab a piece of fruit. Today, it is an apple. Sometimes I make a slice of toast with peanut butter if I'm extra hungry. I quickly rinse my bowl and spoon in the sink and put them in the dishwasher. I don't have time to wash dishes properly in the morning. By now, my coffee is ready. I pour myself a big cup and add just a little bit of sugar. I never drink coffee black. It is too strong for me. I take a few sips while standing in the kitchen, checking my phone for messages. Then I pour the rest of my coffee into a travel mug so I can take it with me on the subway. Before I leave, I grab my bag and make sure I have everything I need for work. My breakfast routine might be simple, but it helps me start my day on the right foot. A good breakfast gives me energy and puts me in a positive mood. Now I'm ready to face whatever the day brings.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode of Native English Podcast. We've explored so many useful expressions for talking about breakfast and morning routines, from turning on the coffee maker to starting the day on the right foot. These phrases will help you sound natural when describing your mornings in English. Remember, language learning happens through practice and repetition. Try using some of these expressions when you talk about your own breakfast routine. Write them down in a journal, say them out loud, or use them in conversation with other English learners. The more you use these phrases, the more natural they'll become. Breakfast routines might seem simple, but they're full of everyday English that you can use immediately. These phrasal verbs and expressions appear everywhere in English conversation, not just when talking about food, so keep practicing and listening for them in movies, podcasts, and real conversations. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I hope you found this lesson helpful and enjoyable. Keep up the great work with your English learning journey. Every day you practice, you're getting better and more confident. I'm Michael Reed. Take care, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next episode of Native English Podcast. Have a wonderful day.